Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today, back on the mic. It's been a minute. I guess, obviously, with everything going on, there's not a lot of news. Obviously, for people that have been listening to me, you know I'm busy. I had a lot of new stuff going on with me, so I'm busy, but it's not a whole bunch of news that just jumps out because of everything with the season, and who knows how long the season is going to even go. But it's unfortunate that I have to get back on the mic for a story like this. But Brian Urlacher, Chicago Bear, Hall of Famer, legend, one of the best middle linebackers to play the game, said some comments about really about the NBA boycott is what the comments were directed at, but obviously that spins off into the reason the boycott happened, and that was the latest incident with a police shooting. And so it's very unfortunate, like I said, that we have to come together like this, but these times have been uncomfortable, and I don't know that that's a bad thing, but we've seen not only from the pandemic, but also from the social unrest, we really start to see the true colors of people. And again, it's uncomfortable. People that I consider good friends or people that I consider cool, you start to really see what they're about. And it's not so much to me the differing of opinions. That happens and that should happen. But you really start to see where people stand on fundamental beliefs and how well they can receive new ideas. And unfortunately, through all of that, you start to find out the truth about some that might not be what you want. And there's that old phrase, never meet your heroes. I met Brian Urlacher that past year, or literally almost a year ago, for the first game against the Packers. But I don't know Brian Urlacher. You know what I mean? I don't know him like that. I know him as a player. You could watch interviews, you could hear all this stuff, but you don't know these people. And so I would never sit here and say, like, oh, me and Urlacher are best friends. But at the same time, you have this image of them, and you have these image of whoever your heroes might be. And then whenever you find out something that's contrary to that image, it's a little hard to take, because Urlacher to me is one of my favorite Bears, if not my favorite. I mean, there's so much about Urlacher that impacted my life personally. And so it was very hard to see the comments he made. First off, attacking the NBA's boycott, comparing it to Brett Favre and his father dying and his ability to play through that. And again, I understand where he's coming from to an extent with that, because it was, the boycott was the results of a number of things. Yes, you agree together to do a unified action, but your intentions are very different. People act like everybody's like, well, we feel this, so we're going to do this. Some people were very upset by what happened and wanted to use their platform. Some people were so upset or distracted that they couldn't focus on basketball. Some people were just following what the leaders of the team did. And so there's a number of intentions. So to sit here as Urlacher to say that, oh, well, you know, they got to push through adversity like Brett Favre did. Brett Favre's going through personal hurt with the death of his father. He pushed through it to play. Can you put his actions on a whole team? I don't think that's fair, because I don't think everybody was like, oh, I can't play basketball tonight, I'm too distracted. Some people were like, let's use this platform. And again, it's the result of many things, but at the end of the day, what it is doing is showing that, hey, we have a platform as athletes, and we're going to use it to have our message put across, because you profit off us the stage and the platform is only here because of us, so we're going to use it to our advantage as well. And so for Urlacher to equate that to Brett Favre and his, individual performance is very, misguided. Then you talk about the second part of his comments, where he's basically calling Jacob Blake a criminal and that was reaching for a knife and everything. And now, so we get back into this demonizing rhetoric that is used to justify either incorrect or terrible things that are done. And so having this conversation about George Floyd, having this conversation about the countless number of victims, and we can go back and forth about a lot of particulars, but there's one theme that kind of shines through, and that is this idea that people cannot understand the lack of correlation. They can't understand the exclusivity of these two things. So if you can say, hey, this person had drugs in their system, or this person had a warrant, or this person was doing this, does that equal this person is allowed to be killed? We throw these facts out, or I shouldn't say we, but some people throw these facts out as if it ends the conversation. They say, well, he had a criminal record, or she had a criminal record, or she was this, or he was doing that, or he looked like that. Like, that doesn't mean anything. This equates to the same thing of a sexual assault or harassment. Well, she was wearing this type of clothes. Well, she was saying this. That does not mean anything into what your actions are. That lies with you. If you say she's wearing this, and so I interpret it as that, and I acted this way, that's on you. That's not on her. And so you say this person has a warrant. Okay, that doesn't mean you get to kill them. That person was not actively trying to harm you. And so, again, when you hear Urlacher say this, it is a repeat. It is an echo of the mainstream. I won't say who, but there's the mainstream group that obviously is against a lot of the social change and against a lot of the injustice that's being called out. And they tend to use this rhetoric as a way to justify what happened. Because at the end of the day, that does not matter. If you have a criminal record, if you looked a certain way, if you were doing a certain thing, you don't have a license to be killed. If you are somebody that is 6 feet away or whatever it is with a gun, a long range weapon, and someone pulls out a knife, that does not equal you shooting them multiple times. And so this comes from a person. I haven't even looked at the details, but it's the same conversation every time. There is no justification there because there was no threat of life. Like, at the end of the day, your last resort should be lethal force. And so that's, as I know, what it is taught, but that's not how it's done in practice with certain people. And so for Urlacher to try to use Brett Favre, which is a disservice to him, for him to throw the boycott under the bus, which is a disservice to the NBA, but for him to then ultimately use all that to attack the situation, it's disheartening. It's a person that obviously does not have the empathy, does not have the open-mindedness to see the bigger picture. We're talking about systemic issues. We're talking about humanity issues. We're not talking about who had a criminal record, who did that. That does not matter. And I beg to anybody to show me it does. Going through, again, a number of these cases, particularly the George Floyd, I've heard so many arguments that, again, lead to nowhere. What are you saying? What are you showing me because somebody has a history of this and that. And then people are crying saying, well, he's not a hero. No one said they were a hero. No one said that they were a big name. One thing I've heard is from a song, but it's probably like the most true statement I heard, which is terrible. But the most important black man in America is a dead one. If George Floyd was arrested and went to jail, you think people would be walking around with his name and his face everywhere? No, the cops did that. They chose him. And so this idea of, oh, they're not a hero, no one's saying any of that. No one's justifying their actions, but we're also not justifying the police actions, which some of you are. And then we're not even going to get to the other fallout of somebody killing innocent people and being allowed to walk with a real dangerous weapon. And so, again, there's a lot going on right now. At best, this comes out as tone deaf by Urlacher, but at worst, it's really damaging to the figure of not only him, but what the Bears and what Chicago should stand for when we're talking about, hard nose, hard work, nose to the grindstone. If you work hard, it doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from. And Chicago's not always that, but that's what the ideals we like to think of. But Urlacher obviously stepped outside of that ideal with those comments, and it's sad to see. Honestly, it's sad to see, and it doesn't change. Like, I'm not a cancel person. It doesn't change what Urlacher did on the field. It doesn't change who he is as a Bear. But going forward, it does change my opinion about him. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you thought about Urlacher's comments. What do you think about Urlacher going forward? Does it change things for you? Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.